Hi everyone, this is Lindsay from School of Makeup Effects. Today I'm going to show you how to do some special effects makeup for the Liberty Science Center zombie party. So here we go. I'm going to start with a little bit of cotton and latex, so things you could find at your local Halloween store. Very easy. First and foremost, you want to make sure you're not allergic to latex. If you were, there are definitely substitutes you could find out there. Silicone is a great option, or they make pre-made prosthetics that you can work with. Very easy to apply as well. So I'm going to start by removing what's already on my face. You want to clean your skin. Make sure nothing's underneath so everything sticks perfectly. From here, I'm just taking some cotton balls, and you want to peel them apart. Make sure you get nice thin layers. Dip them directly into the latex so that they're completely saturated. Just have a cup of regular stippling latex or regular aging latex in my cup, and I'm peeling it apart in little shreds so that I can apply it to the skin. So there's nothing else underneath, it's just going to be the adhesive of the latex and the cotton. I'm going to do some claw marks or scrapes today, so I'll need a good amount of this just so I can build up the edges. So I'm going to start by applying one piece of the cotton in a long strip against my cheek. I'm going to follow it in sort of a circular motion. You want to keep the top a little thinner than the bottom. That way you could get the depth of the scrape. Make sure you have a little powder handy so it doesn't keep sticking to your own fingers like you see is happening to me here. And some wipes, those are always helpful. And then just work it in, and the cotton will smooth directly into the skin. The fibers of it smooth out perfectly, so it's really easy to get those edges down and meshed into the cheek. So now I'm going to take a little bit of tissue. This is just toilet paper. I have taken a couple of squares and ripped them so that there's no jagged edges. And I'm going to take just little pieces like this that I've torn apart with a Q-tip. I'm going to put a slight layer of latex down, my piece of tissue over top to keep things smooth, and then another layer of latex. I'm not going to do this across the whole piece, just in areas that I want to remain a little bit smoother and blend better into my skin. Areas where maybe I want a little depth. You can see if I take my Q-tip and I pull against the area, I'm able to create some additional depth. So I'm focusing here at the bottom. And now we are ready to go in for paint. So I'm gonna go in with a grease paint. It's really important to remember that you wanna use something that's very heavy in oil content. So any type of rubber mask grease paint that you can find in your Halloween store, you can order it online. They have flesh tone palettes, they have bruise palettes. What I like to do is use these on top of my latex. That way it doesn't stain and there's enough oil where it'll slide all over the injury. Whereas if you take something like a regular concealer or a foundation, it's gonna stain your latex. You're gonna have a really hard time blending it out. So I'm just going to scoop a little bit of some flesh tones, taking the lightest shade and the second lightest shade, because I'm not very tan, very fair. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a color close to my skin tone, so that I can blend these pieces into my skin and that this latex will eventually look like it's actually my skin. So I'm going to take the color that I've just created on the back of my hand and just a regular flat brush, and I'm going to pat my foundation or my grease paint rather all over my latex. Don't worry about pulling it all the way over the powder that's there. What you can do is use a Vaseline or anything that's heavy in oil content. It can be a little bit of castor oil, a little bit of KY jelly, and that will take the powder away from the skin rather than having to paint your entire cheek. Okay, I'm taking a little bit of a petroleum-based product. Trying to, but my hands are very slippery. There we go. And I'm going to put that on the back of my hand, warm it up with my fingertips, and then use that to kind of slide around the edges of the product so that it goes and covers that powder, so we don't have a powdery surrounding. There you go, you can kind of see some of that powder is going away. So I'm going to just tap that all over. It'll also help you blend out your makeup. Another little trick, if you end up going to the Halloween store, a lot of times what happens is you pick up grease paints and they are hard as a rock. So they're very difficult to work with. So a good thing to do is, again, take any of those like heavily oil-based products like a castor oil, a Vaseline, something along those lines, and just mix it into the grease paint. It'll make it nice and smooth and easy for you to apply. Okay, from here I'm going to begin bruising the injury and just adding a little bit of redness. So I'm going to start with an orange stipple sponge. Again, this is just a rubber sponge with some holes in it. If you don't have one of these or can't find one, you could take a regular brush like so and crush it on a hard surface and work with this. Just make sure all the bristles are splayed all around so you don't have anything too perfect in shape. And I'm going to use my orange stipple sponge and I'm going to start to tap some maroon all around my scrapes or my gashes rather. You want to make sure the shape is very organic, so a little trick again that I like to use is to apply a little product, skip a space, apply a little product, bring it out, skip a space, so that you're not creating a perfect circle around what you're creating. From here, I'm going to fill the centers of my scratches, or gashes rather, in with a little bit of black cream makeup. Filling any injury in with black is going to create depth. So even if you pick up one of those inexpensive rubber injuries at the Halloween store, you can apply it and then paint over it with black so it gives it a lot of depth and it'll make it look a little bit more realistic. So just following the inside where I kept open, and I'm actually painting my skin. I'm gonna fill that whole middle area in with my black cream makeup. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in with some thick blood. So you can pick up any scab bloods, you can take your thinner bloods and mix it with cream, you can mix it with a dissolved gelatin, that'll thicken it. There's tons of recipes all over the place where you can make your own, but they do sell scab bloods everywhere. And I'm just going to fill in right over top of the black with my fresh scab or my scab blood, really tapping that on the edges. Using my finger to tap it out. Don't be afraid to get a little messy. And then last but not least, I'm going to just add a little bit of the thinner blood so it can drip a little bit. You can actually get that drippy effect. Up to you how far you want to go with it. It is, the blood I have happens to be washable, but if it's not a washable blood, then I suggest paper toweling your outfit unless you're looking to bloody up everything. I'm going to just use a Q-tip and roll it right inside my injury so it'll drip on its own for me. Starting at the top, working my way down. Oh, made a little mess. It's okay. Now, if your blood, again, another little tip, if your blood is a little thick, you can add a little bit of clear dish soap or clear hand soap to it, and it'll thin it right out and give it the capabilities of dripping without thinning it with water. If you add water, it's just gonna shoot down too quickly. And if you wanna get a cool picture or selfie or something, adding that soap will give you a minute to catch the drip. So you don't have to thin it out too much. And there it is. So we're all set. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you on October 20th at the Zombtoberfest at Liberty Science Center. Bye.